and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about the Lancaster Chamber, and this is year 150. And with us right now we have current president, Heather Valudes, and then we also have past president, Tom Baldridge. Thank you.
Old president. Old president.
Old president, is that what we're going to call you? Old president? Okay. There is so much going on with the Chamber. The Chamber is so vital to this community. And 150 years, and well, you haven't been here all of those, Tom, but you have seen quite a few of them. Tell us a little bit about the Chamber in Lancaster.
Well, I love the story of our history and how we got founded because it's so indicative, I think, of the impact we've had in this county over the years. On July 22nd, 1872, a group of downtown business owners gathered at the Cooper Hotel, which is where the Hager parking lot is right now, next to Market. They gathered on the second floor to have the first ever meeting of downtown business owners concerned about the lack of paving the streets in downtown Lancaster. And it was out of that meeting that the Chamber was born. And ever since that time, I think we've committed ourselves as an organization to be the collective voice of the business community, lean into the issues that impact the business community, and try to make our community as thriving and as prosperous as we possibly can.
And the Chamber itself has really grown with membership, right, Heather?
Yeah, I mean, certainly where it started from was just a small group. Today we have about 1,400 member businesses, and that represents close to half the workforce in Lancaster County. And so when you look at that and the number of families we're impacting, the number of businesses we're impacting, the number of people, it's really tremendous to have that kind of reach.
And for those that don't understand the entire scope of the Chamber and the focus, address a little bit more of that, Tom.
Okay.
I mean, I know that's like a heavy question, right?
Well,
it is.
I mean,
but
it's the entire focus is big, and that's born out of our mission or our vision, which is for Lancaster County to be a thriving community for all. So we see businesses and the private sector as being the economic driver for a community's health. And if you don't have successful businesses, if you don't have a happy workforce, if you don't have quality wages, you don't have all the other things like parks and roads and cultural aspects and things like that. So business is really the center of what drives a community, and our job is, in a variety of different ways, is to try to do everything we can to leverage that business success. So whether or not it be through advocacy and being the collective voice of business to make sure the issues locally are heard at a local, state, and national level.
We still talk about paving roads.
We still talk about 150 years later, and we're still talking about paving roads.
well, some things never change, right?
But the other thing that we do pretty heavily also is try to lean into what we can do to help the local workforce as well. So it's not just, it's businesses so that they can have a productive workforce and employees, and then for the employees' sake so that they can advance in their own careers. So we offer training and other programs to employees so that they can better themselves and in so doing better business.
Yes. Now, Heather, you came to the Chamber in 2011, right? Mm-hmm. What was it that attracted you to the Chamber?
So I had previously been working at the Building Industry Association, where we were really focused on a specific set of issues, and I was doing government affairs there and focused on building construction issues. And the opportunity kind of presented itself to say, hey, you might be able to look at a broader set of issues and really expand how you have impact in that government affairs sphere. And so I took that opportunity and jumped in as our advocacy director first, and then moved into community impact, which was really kind of an evolution of how we looked at issues as well. But I do like that every day is a little bit different. I mean, when you work at a chamber, you get to do something different every day, whether it's from a programmatic standpoint or whether it's from this issue came up or this business is facing this, or, there's something happening, COVID's coming in, what are you going to do about it? I mean,
right.
Those types of things, every day is different, and it just presents a lot of unique challenges, but opportunities to kind of solve problems too,
right.
which I love.
And you were vice president before
Correct.
Becoming president and CEO.
Yeah.
And what I think is so wonderful is that you know this community, mm-hmm. and you know it inside and out. And my understanding, there was a national search done for this position. But Heather, you have this job. And obviously there's been a great relationship between the two of you. He's been a really good mentor,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
Absolutely.
So,
What else is she going to say, Diane?
I don't know, but yeah. But
Cue it up like
But you
that.
don't stay somewhere for 11 years if you don't have
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. What would you say is probably one of the most important things that you have learned from Tom?
Oh boy.
Okay, so I think Tom is tremendous at bringing people together and talking through issues and talking through hard topics and hearing everyone at the table, though. Tremendous at just getting together, having those conversations, and the ability to let everybody share what they want to share. And in so many ways, not take offense. I mean, it is a rare occasion where I see him take offense to something anyone has said, even if it's critical of the chamber or something we're doing. And I think that's a tremendous leadership quality to learn from, because it takes a lot to just kind of sit in the work that you're doing and then continue to move forward without that component of that. So it's a tremendous quality.
That really is key.
Yeah.
That really is key.
Especially for an organization like ours, where that's what we do. I mean, our intent is to bring people together to solve problems, to think about what's impacting our community, to understand what's impacting business. And that's what he does all the time.
So Tom, what did you see in Heather for this position? Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there wanting this and have good backgrounds and track records. But you know her, and what is it about Heather?
Well, I'll get to that, but I'm going to just clarify something. I'm kind of happy to say I had nothing to do with the search.
Okay.
There was a 8-person search committee put together, and they were the people that conducted the national search. And the reason I say I'm kind of proud of that fact is that this was not an anointment of Heather by any stretch of the imagination. Right. She earned it, just as she earned all the promotions that she got during her time at the chamber. What I've shared about Heather is that in the 11 years that she's worked at the chamber, I've never given her assignment that she hasn't nailed, and now she has a new assignment, and I am fully confident she's going to nail that too. But it's just she has been given every challenge that she's been given, she has succeeded at. So this is just kind of the culmination of those challenges, I think, in some ways, and I'm very confident that she's going to nail this one too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now that we've had the Love Fest.
Now tell me what you really think.
Yeah, right. 150 years. Heather, talk a little bit about that, and now going forward, what you see. Because I know your brain is going like this, and your excitement level and your passion level is really up to here.
Yeah. I mean, that's the exciting part, right? So as a community, we've been bringing business together for 150 years, and we've seen tremendous strides because of that. And, you know, we interact with chambers across the country, and there's not many that have that level of longevity of really supporting business and then celebrating the contributions of business in their community. And as we look forward, there's just so much new opportunity. I mean, there's so many new challenges, but every challenge comes with potential solutions to it. And our community is shifting. The way business does business is changing. Workforce needs are changing. And, you know, I'm sure everybody said that over time, but it's an exciting thing to look forward to understand how is our business evolving, how's our community evolving, and what's business's role at that table.
Yeah, and I think you like challenges.
I do enjoy a challenge.
Yeah. And that's so key. That's very much key. Now, over the years, there have been so many wonderful things going on at the chamber. And one of those things is the annual dinner and the speakers that you bring in. I mean, this has been amazing who you've gotten to meet and know over the years. Is there one that really sticks out to you, or an interesting situation with one? Or,
we've had interesting situations.
Well, I remember some of them. Well, can't make it here. Well,
right. Yeah, we've had a lot of interesting situations. Yeah. I do get asked that a lot, and then as soon as I name a name, which I will in a minute, but then I think, but then there's this and there's this and there's this. So there were a lot of amazing people, but the person, honestly, and maybe somewhat surprisingly, at least from my perception of what it could have been, that sticks out the most, I think, is George W. Bush. He was an absolutely delightful human person. The only one of 22 speakers that we've had that wrote a handwritten thank you note afterwards, appreciating the fact that we had brought him into our community, which is framed in my office.
Wow, yeah.
he was just so personable and just seemed to be really enjoying himself. Some of the other speakers that we have, it feels like it's more of come in, speak, take my paycheck, and leave.
A job.
But he was sincerely invested and interested.
Wow.
I can't help but say this one too. My first one in 2000 was Walter Cronkite, and he was, frankly, he was a hero of mine growing up. I mean, that was what we did after dinner, was watch Walter Cronkite 6:30 every night. And he spent the night in Lancaster, and the next day, myself and my board chair at that time, Carol Hess, picked him up at the Eden Resort, and he spent the entire day with us driving around the county. We went to Strasburg Railroad, we toured the Fulton Opera House, we went to the log cabin was closed for lunch, but they opened up for him for lunch. I'm trying to remember where else we went, but it was absolutely fascinating to be with him for the day and to watch his curiosity at work. I mean, even I forget how old he was at the time, but I do know he was deaf because he could barely hear. I mean, he could barely hear anything you said, which was fine by me because I'd rather listen to him all day long than have me talk. But that was really memorable also.
Wow. So many stories, and we do have more stories, but we're going to take a brief pause and we'll be right back, so stay with us.
LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way: for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines, and we're talking about the award-winning Lancaster Chamber with current president and CEO, Heather Valudes, and was it old president or old president, Tom Baldridge. And we're talking about 150 years and the fact that you are the first female president. Now that falls in line with what the strategic plan is for the chamber. Address that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly an honor to be the first female president of the chamber. I have two 9-year-old daughters, and so for them to see, a model of female leadership in organizations is always a really nice component of it. But for us, when we look at our strategic plan and kind of how we move out on that, there's various different components that I'm happy to touch on, but one of them is also around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as a female leader, there's a piece of that, but diversity, equity, and inclusion involves, all people in our community and how they get engaged and how they involved, and it really comes back to that vision we have of a thriving community for all. And so that commitment and really thinking about how do we provide opportunities for everyone and think about pathways and opportunities and how you help develop people. And that really comes back to businesses too, thinking about how are you developing your future leaders and how are you developing talent. And there's just so much opportunity there, and it's great to have a small part in paving that pathway too.
Yes, Tom, would you want to add something to that with the strategic plan?
So the strategic plan, I think, is fundamental to where the chamber's going in the future. The chamber board spent the better part of a year working on the plan in advance of hiring a president for the sole purposes of making sure that they were hiring somebody that could implement the plan that they had created, as opposed to hiring somebody and then asking that person to figure out where it is we should be going. So the board kind of took a proactive approach to making sure that they were in charge of the future of the organization, and then they used that plan to pick the right person to lead them, which ended up being Heather. But the plan, deals with the issues that are critical in the community right now. It's workforce, which is number one for business by far. It's also business success, so it's all those things that fall under trying to make sure businesses are successful in Lancaster County. It's operational success for the chamber, obviously, because without our own success, the rest doesn't happen. And then advocacy, and then, as Heather said, diversity, equity, inclusion. I think the issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think, are particularly critical because they relate directly to workforce, number one. And number two, they are such a significant part of our changing demographics in our county that if we don't, as a community, try to get ahead of that curve in understanding and appreciating and welcoming all types, I think we'll find ourselves challenged in the future to live up to the vision of the Chamber to be a thriving community for all.
Right. One of the things we talked about in the first segment was how each day is different and how that makes it really enjoyable and also a challenge. Having gone through the unpredictable with the pandemic, you've experienced some things. Tell me a little bit about that experience, what you learned, how you had to handle that and come out the other end.
Yeah, so when COVID first started to kind of appear in the United States, we quickly had to shift model. I mean, as with everybody, Pennsylvania shut down, and that shifted our model too. And it had, impacts on everything we deliver for the business community and how our staff operated to deliver those things at a time where, businesses were sending people home and figuring out how they were working. We were trying to figure out how do we tell everybody the rules and the standards and this is how you can operate, this is what you can do. And so we were trying to figure a lot of stuff out, and we had a great team. I mean, our team is phenomenal at changing on a dime and kind of understanding here's an issue and here's how we're going to face it. But it was certainly unpredictable, and every day provided something new to figure out and to put out as a resource and put in front of people. But we are better, I think, today for it. Our team operates differently. We're much more... I would say we were collaborative before. We're highly collaborative, but in a bit of a dispersed sense. We do a lot over, tools that are available to us electronically, but also we've changed our remote work policies and things like that. So that's the type of changing business environment that not only we're facing, but the organizations that we serve. And so how we help them through that while also going through it ourselves is always a unique and interesting challenge.
And I think that's a good thing. It's a really good thing with especially the remote workforce, and to be able to adapt like that. That really forced us to do that. And some people are not going back to the way it was before. But it gave us a depth and another way to proceed and to go forward. But it does take a team. And you do have a wonderful team there. What, almost 20 or around there or something like that?
Interns this summer, so we're almost at 20.
Interns this summer too. So the different positions that you have within the Chamber, what different areas do we focus on?
Yeah, so we have a business development team who really works with our businesses to kind of understand what their needs are, help them to address them, whether that's through our programming or membership, those types of things. So business development is out there talking every day with businesses. Then we have an events and programs team who is obviously really focused on kind of that outward-facing chamber, how you get engaged.
Yes.
Here's a program you can come to, here's a resource you can use, those types of things. And then we have a great operations team that does all of our behind the scenes and really supports us in all of that behind the scenes work. And so we have a print shop at our building. We have a building that people can rent. And so there's a lot that goes into that. Finance, operations, all of that type of stuff. And so that's kind of that critical function that helps us all keep moving in our day-to-day work.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, you look at the Chamber and how much it's grown with membership. Let's talk about being a member of the Chamber. Why don't we promote that?
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so as a member, what do you get?
Yeah, so our memberships include access to a number of different events and programs that people can choose to attend. It includes resources that businesses get access to. So those are things where you don't necessarily have to have the time to come to an event or program. We have online resources that people can access and utilize. And then there's also, a number of webinars and trainings, those types of things that can be done either in your office or on site. And then we have the intangibles, the things like advocacy and public policy. Those are spaces that we're engaging and representing the business voice in every day, so that businesses don't necessarily have to call up their senator or representative to talk about a reduction in the corporate net income tax. We're talking about that stuff to them, and then that kind of helps move that ball along. So there's a number of different things that they get, and we have different levels of membership, but we were happy to have a conversation with any business or employer who wants to talk through that.
I think the one thing I would add is that all of those things, and one other thing, because it's so significant to a lot of local businesses, is the networking opportunities that we provide. So every program that we do, be it a mixer or even a training program, there's an element of networking in there. And the more, we've always believed that the more we can connect the local business community to each other, to not just learn from each other, but ideally to do business from each other, benefits everybody. So the concept of think local is strong within our DNA, but it's also strong within our ability to try to network local businesses so that they can learn and do business with each other.
Yeah. And there is a website that we can go to, and what is that?
It's www.lancasterchamber.com.
And what are we going to find there? Everything that we're talking about, right?
Everything that we're
right.
talking about, that's
Yep.
right.
Okay, so it can take you to all these
Including the
different
ability to sign up as a member.
That's right.
That's
And you
right.
can go there and
That's
get all
right.
your questions answered
Yeah.
as well. We talked briefly a little bit earlier about award-winning chamber. For those who don't understand what that award is and the criteria, what is that?
So we belong to a national association called the Association for Chamber of Commerce Executives, and it is most chambers across the country are a member of that. And each year they have a process you go through if you choose to that enables you to be in the running for Chamber of the Year. And we have been fortunate. We've tried 3 times in my 20 years, in my
Okay.
22 years. We've tried 3 times to go for the award. First was in 2003 and we won. Second was in 2013 and we won. Third was in 2021 and we were top 3 finalists and we didn't win. Now I like to say we came in second, but we don't know that for sure. But we were top 3 finalists. So they evaluate you on your operations, on your impact, on your membership, and we have historically been kind of an outsized chamber for our market. Lancaster, I think, generally is more private sector focused than other communities might tend to be, and therefore the chamber becomes a little bit more integral in the community's process. So we've benefited from that, and we've been delighted to be able to be recognized by that as well by the U.S. Chamber, by the Association of Chamber of Commerce
Right,
Executives.
right. I think it says a lot about the community, and it also says a lot about the leadership. And I'd like to thank you both for what you do and what you bring to the community. And looking forward to a great future.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so
Me
thanks.
I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very much.
absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
for being here today.
Thank you.
We'd like to say thank you for being here today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.